You reach for the bottle without thinking. A splash in the pan, a drizzle over a plate. The whole motion takes less than 2 seconds. But for most of human existence, oil in any form you'd recognize didn't exist. What existed instead was fat, animal fat, and getting enough of it was one of the most consuming problems your ancestors ever solved. The craving you feel right now, that pull toward anything rich, anything that coats your tongue and makes plain food feel unfinished, that isn't a modern indulgence. That's a signal written into your body long before agriculture, long before cooking as you know it, long before anyone pressed a single olive. For roughly 2 million years before anyone farmed anything, early hominins were already going out of their way to get fat into their bodies. Not meat in general, fat specifically. Archaeological sites across East Africa show something striking. Piles of smashed animal long bones, cracked open in a very particular way, consistent with early humans deliberately breaking them to reach the marrow inside. Marrow is almost pure fat. It has none of the fiber, none of the awkward chewing lean meat requires, and gram for gram, it delivers more than double the calories of protein. For a body running on unpredictable, patchy food supply, marrow wasn't a treat. It may have been one of the most important calorie sources available. Your body needs fat the way it needs sodium, not as a preference, as a requirement. Fat carries the vitamins your body can't absorb without it. It builds the membrane around every cell you have. It's the densest energy source in the natural world. And in lean seasons, when meat was scarce and plant food was thin, the fat reserves of a killed animal weren't a bonus. They were often the difference between a group making it through winter and not. This preference shows up clearly in modern hunter-gatherer groups that anthropologists have studied. Given a fresh kill, many groups don't fight over the leanest, most meat-forward cuts. They fight over the fattiest parts, organs, marrow, the fat layered under the skin. That's not a quirky cultural preference. It's the same ancient calculation your ancestors were running. Fat is survival currency, and lean meat alone can barely sustain a human body for long. For most of that 2 million year stretch, fat was something you extracted in the moment, cracked out of a bone, scraped from a hide, eaten close to where the animal died. There was no way to store it, refine it, or use it reliably as an ingredient the way we think of oil today. That changed with domestication. Once humans kept herds instead of relying on occasional, unpredictable kills, something new became possible: a steady, repeatable supply of fat. Archaeologists studying residue on ancient cooking vessels, burnt fat signatures baked directly into the pottery, have traced deliberate fat rendering back roughly 10,000 years, right around the same window when animals were first being domesticated in the Near East and parts of Europe. For the first time, humans weren't just eating fat opportunistically. They were rendering it down, storing it, and cooking with it on purpose. Here's the part that surprises most people. Plant-based oil, the kind that fills almost every kitchen today, arrived dramatically later. The earliest solid evidence of olive oil production in the Eastern Mediterranean dates to somewhere around 6,000 to 8,000 years ago. That sounds ancient, but it's thousands of years after humans were already rendering and cooking with animal fat as a matter of routine. For the vast majority of the time humans have used oil as an ingredient, it wasn't olive oil or any plant oil at all. It was rendered animal fat, tallow, lard, marrow grease, and in most of the world outside the Mediterranean climate belt, animal fat remained the dominant cooking fat for thousands of years after plant oil already existed elsewhere, simply because it was easier to produce reliably almost anywhere humans lived. And fat didn't stay in the kitchen. The same rendered substance that kept people fed became one of humanity's first dependable light sources. Archaeologists have recovered small stone lamps, simple hollowed rocks holding rendered fat and a fibrous wick, dating back at least 15,000 years in parts of Ice Age Europe. Long before candles, long before anything resembling a modern oil lamp, someone realized the same fat that filled their stomach could also burn slowly and steadily in the dark. Some of the oldest cave art known to exist was almost certainly painted by the light of exactly this kind of flickering fat lamp, carried by hand into total darkness. Picture a scene like this. Somewhere in Ice Age Europe, 15,000 years ago, A small hollow of stone sits filled with pale animal fat, a twist of dried plant fiber laid across it as a wick. Someone touches a coal to it, and a small, steady flame catches. They carry it, cupped carefully in both hands, deeper into a cave than daylight has ever reached, around a bend, down a narrow passage, into a chamber where the air is completely still. By that small, trembling light, they begin tracing the outline of an animal onto the rock. The same fat that fed their children that morning is now the only reason they can see what they're doing at all. That overlap, fat as fuel for the body, fat as fuel for flame, wasn't a coincidence. Fat is simply one of the most efficient energy stores that exists in nature, whether that energy is released slowly inside a human body over hours or burned quickly as visible flame. Ancient humans didn't need to understand any of the underlying chemistry to notice the pattern. The fattiest parts of an animal kept a person fed the longest, and that same fat, set alight, kept the darkness back the longest too. Then agriculture arrived, and it changed the equation, the same way it did with salt. Grain-based diets are calorie-dense but fat-poor. As populations shifted toward wheat, barley, and rice as staple foods, dietary fat, like dietary sodium, became something you had to deliberately seek out and add back in, rather than something built into your food by default. That's very likely part of why so many early agricultural societies treated fat and oil as prized, sometimes ceremonial substances, reserved for feasts, offered to the dead, traded across long distances, rather than an everyday given. Olive oil in the ancient Mediterranean world wasn't treated like the cheap, disposable ingredient it is now. It was currency. It was used in religious anointing. Entire trade economies formed around moving oil from where it was pressed to where it wasn't. And then, like salt, oil got cheap. Industrial pressing, chemical extraction, global agriculture, and mass shipping collapsed the cost of vegetable oil within roughly the last 150 years. Today, a bottle of oil that would have represented serious wealth to an ancient household costs less than a cup of coffee, and it's folded invisibly into nearly everything you eat, whether you notice it or not. But the craving didn't get the memo. Your brain still registers rich, fatty food as something rare and valuable, because for nearly the entire span of human evolution, it was. The reward you feel biting into something fatty isn't a design flaw. It's ancient software, still running exactly as intended, in an environment that no longer matches the one it was built for. So, the next time you pour oil into a pan without a second thought, you're repeating one of the oldest continuous habits your species has ever had. You've just changed where the substance comes from. Long before anyone pressed an olive, humans were cracking bones for marrow, rendering fat by firelight, and carrying that same fat, cupped in stone, into total darkness to see by. Cooking oil isn't a modern convenience sitting quietly on your counter. It's the current chapter of a nearly 2 million year relationship between humans and fat. And the only thing that's really changed is the label on the bottle.